Ever since I dropped my short film Insider, a couple of people have been asking me to do a breakdown, particularly of my lighting setup. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute as always, but today we're going to jump right into things, and I'm going to be going through the entire lighting plan, picking out a few frames and just breaking down the whole lighting process and my approach. So I hope that's going to be helpful to you. By the way, if you haven't watched the short film yet, I'm going to leave links in the description, so go check it out first so it doesn't, you don't get any spoilers. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the resources that I use. The number one resource that sort of helped me, it's called Miller Notes. That is where the entire project was laid out, and it just gave me a better overview of things, and I was able to work more efficiently. As you can see, everything, I had the budgeting, I had the story, I had my mood board, I also had my costume and makeup, I had the script in there and all the talents so people could get to know each other, location details, shot list, floor plan, call sheets, and my gear checklist. So I had everything there. It just helped me to move quite effectively and efficiently. All right, so for the planning, the light planning, the floor plan, all that was done in Shot Designer, and I'm going to put an image on the screen so you can actually see what it looked like for the entire short film, because this was being shot in one location. I had everything pretty much planned out, all the camera angles that I intended to film, the movements of the talent, the car, the camera, lights, and everything was pretty much sorted out, as you can see in here. I am going to find a few frames before I actually jump into breaking down each of these frames. One advice that I would give people that I got from other cinematographers is when you're approaching lighting, number one, light the space, not the face. Number two, when lighting, keep in mind you're going to be shooting your wide shots first before going into your close-ups. The first one is just basically this wide shot here where our villain sort of walks towards the protagonist. I was trying to go for some color contrast as well. As you can see, we got the teal and we got orange, and the motivation for that orange light coming through the window is just like the street lights that you would have outside. So I had to gel up a light. I placed an aperture 300D with a gel on it to kind of simulate that, and I think I also had a Fresnel on that lamp to sort of beam it a little bit to give that effect that you see on the wall. And then I had 4 Godox TL60 tube lights just attached to these poles right here, and I had another aperture 300D right at the top on the left side of the frame, and it was kind of sort of shining down, and that was kind of my main light. And I also threw a little bit of water on the floor to sort of get some reflections and just make the whole visuals a little bit more interesting. This shot is when our villain actually moves into the frame. It's over the shoulder shot. And for this shot, basically, we have a few lights in here. Our main light was the Aperture 300D with a CTB on it, and I think it was about half or 1/4, I can't quite remember. And it was being motivated by the Godox TL60 tube lights that were attached to the pole. For our rim light, the motivation for that was the car headlights that was parked when he drove in. I actually thought about moving the softbox a little bit closer to him so we can get much softer light, but he's the villain and I wanted him to be a little bit more rugged, and I felt like that hash light helped with doing that, so I just decided to stick with that instead. Pretty simple shot right here. So let's move into our next shot, and our next shot is when the other characters actually walked into frame, and everything pretty much stays the same. You can see that main light there right at the top, it's bleeding in a little bit into the camera lens. We tried our best to flag it off, but this is as much as we could get it done. I guess if we had more time we probably could have done a better job, but this is what you have to deal with when there's a limited hands on set and limited time as well. So again, you can see the car headlights sort of coming on our talents from the back. We have our TL60 tubes on the poles right there. Yeah, we put some water on the concrete floor so we could get some reflections, which, you know, I think personally make things a lot more interesting when it comes to the bigger picture. Okay, this shot, it's pretty much the same as our opening shots, but only in this part we have a few more characters. And again, it goes back to what I was saying. When you try to light the space and not the face, everything kind of falls in place, you know, because I didn't worry about lighting the actual talent, but I thought about, you know, how can I make the space look visually pleasing. So I placed my lights with respect to that line of thought, and once my subjects walked into the scene, everything just kind of fell in place and I didn't have to do any much more to light them up. Our next shot is a close-up. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a change in terms of the lighting. We have the small rig RC220D in dome. You know, we placed that to right close to her and made it a little bit softer, and we had to flag off our main light, which was the Aperture 300D with some CTB shining onto her. So we controlled that, and then we replaced that with the light in the softbox in order to give her this soft, pleasant light on her skin. And her rim light is also being motivated by the car headlights. So if you watch the entire movie, you see when the car comes in, it kind of gives you perspective. So you can see where that rim light is actually coming from. And then here in this shot, we have our protagonist facing off with one of our characters. And again, like I said, what helped us to move a little bit faster was the fact that we sort of lit the space. So once we placed our characters in the scene, it didn't matter if we're doing a close-up or a wide shot. The shot still looked good. A few adjustments had to be made here and there sometimes, but not always. Like this shot, we didn't have to do any adjustments to be able to get this close-up. I wanted a little bit harsher light on him since it's a male character, and our main light, the Aperture 300D, was doing that work and doing all the lifting for us. So that is what we had right there. And in the background, you see a little bit of some orange lights, and what I did there was just kept the car headlights on, which, you know, sort of shone in the background to give that to us. And I just really like the contrast levels in this shot. It just makes it a little bit gritty and it fits perfectly with the environment. So yeah, I guess that kind of does it for the breakdown. If you have any more questions, you know, drop them in the comments down below and I would give you an appropriate answer. Alright, so this entire project was edited in DaVinci Resolve. Both the cutting and the color grading was done in Resolve. The lot that I used to grade these was the Kodak 2383 that is built into the paid version of Resolve. And you know, I played around with it a little bit and to be able to get the results that I got. Pretty satisfied with the color grading. I think there's always room for improvement. I'm no pro colorist, but you know, I think I'm fairly satisfied with what I was able to put out. So this entire movie was shot on the Sony FX3, and the lens that I used was the Sigma 24-70. Initially, I had plans of using a set of Nikon vintage lenses, some primes that I had borrowed from a friend. But once we got on set, I saw how much work needed to be done and I saw how much limited manpower we had. I just figured that it would be, it's going to be so much of a hassle to be swapping lenses for each shot. And also we had to pull focus manually if we had to use the Nikon lenses. So At the very end of it, I decided to ditch that, and I'm very happy that I did, because despite being able to move quite effectively and efficiently, we still went way out of time. The amount of time we had budgeted, we went straight over it. So I'm kind of happy that I decided to stick with the Sigma 2470. Yeah, I was quite satisfied. FX3, perfect in low lighting conditions or night scenes like this one, and the Sigma 2470, I quite enjoyed that combo, and it worked really great for me. So first off, I would say I really enjoyed this entire process. I enjoyed creating this piece, I enjoyed writing it, I enjoyed producing it, I enjoyed directing it, I enjoyed DPing it, I enjoyed editing it. Maybe not so much, but yeah, and I enjoyed color grading it. So, and a lot was learned throughout the entire process. And the fact that I had to put on so many hats was kind of a setback, as well as a good thing for me personally. So let me start with the reason why I think it was good. It's because I got to pick up some of the skills in those various departments. You know, a little bit of it was directing, a little bit of it was producing, DPing, and editing. So I guess I learned something across each of those various departments. But at the same time, having to do everything by yourself, you tend to have a lot of blind spots in the project. You know, directing and DPing at the same time, there's a lot of things that you miss. Maybe you don't pull out the best performances from your actors, or if you focus a lot more on directing and pulling out the performances, there's a few things that you miss in the frame that you could have done better if you were solely to focus on doing the DP work. So that's one of the setbacks. So in future projects, I would like a lot more to, you know, let other people handle some of these tasks while I focus a lot more on what I really want to be focusing on. So I guess basically that's it for me. I hope that you enjoyed the breakdown. If you have any more questions, or if there's anything that I really didn't touch on, then you can drop comment in the drop a question in the comment sections below, and I'll do my best to get back to you with appropriate responses. Again, if you haven't been able to watch the short film, it's just 8 minutes. Links in the description down below. I'm gonna pop up another card somewhere up here so you can take a quick look and, you know, let me know what you think. Yeah, so I guess we just gotta keep creating, shooting, and then we repeat that process so we get better and better. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, I'll see you. Peace.